Hi, I'm Jackie Bedard, founder of Carolina Family Estate Planning, and today I'm going to share 5 hidden costs and legal traps to be aware of if you've been named executor or trustee of an estate. And just a quick note, North Carolina tends to use a lot of different terminology, so you may be serving as personal representative or administrator, executor, trustee. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to use the phrase executor. But please know all of these rules still apply. The first hidden cost is over-reporting assets on the court inventory forms. You see, the filing fees and the court fees are calculated based on the assets listed on that inventory. So if we overvalue them, we end up paying more fees than necessary. And this usually happens for one of two reasons. Either the executor overvalues the assets that they're listing and enters a higher value than necessary, or the executor includes assets that don't need to be included on that inventory. And so we end up paying fees on assets that didn't need to be included. The second hidden cost is paying creditors that don't have to be paid. Yes, one of your responsibilities as executor or trustee is to pay legitimate claims against the estate. But just because you got a bill or invoice does not mean it's a valid claim. So one of the things that we do is we make sure that we're only paying valid claims against the estate. And then in some instances, we're actually able to negotiate more favorable payment terms and pay less than the full value on the bill or invoice. The third hidden cost is the risk of making a mistake. When you accept that role of executor or trustee, you're accepting what's called a fiduciary duty, meaning that you have taken on the duty to act in the best interest of the estate and the beneficiaries. And if you make a mistake, you can actually be held personally liable, meaning you have to correct that mistake out of your own pocket, which is probably not something you want to have to do. But we see this happen regularly. It's very easy for it to happen. Maybe you pay a creditor that didn't need to be paid, or maybe you distribute funds to the wrong person. If you can't get those funds back, you might find yourself in a pickle. So that's why a lot of people opt to hire a law firm. You're able to shift that liability to us because we're advising you what to do and to make sure that you don't make a mistake. The fourth hidden cost is time. Now, if you've already accepted this role, then you've probably acknowledged that it's going to take an investment of time on your part. But what we find is that when folks try to do this themselves, it takes more time than necessary. We see people spin their wheels trying to figure out what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it. We see situations where they send forms to the insurance company or the financial institution and they get rejected and they have to do them over and over until they get it right. Or the same thing happens with the court filings. They send in the court filings, it gets rejected and sent back, and they get in this circle. And each time that happens, that delays the estate weeks, sometimes months, especially with the court filings. Here in Wake County, they're very backlogged. And if we have to redo a filing, that can set us back months sometimes. And that delays you from being able to close out the estate and be done with your responsibilities. And it prevents the heirs and beneficiaries from receiving their inheritance. And the final cost that we see is improper distribution of funds, whether that's making distributions to people that shouldn't receive them or distributing the improper amounts. And as we already talked earlier, you're in a fiduciary position. So if you can't get those funds back, you may have to correct that out of your own pocket. So it's very important that we make sure that the right people are getting the right amounts. Look, I get it. Usually if you've been named as executor or trustee, you're also a beneficiary of the estate and you want to maximize the inheritance for yourself and everyone else that's involved. And you've been entrusted by your loved one to take on this responsibility. But by trying to tackle it alone, it often takes longer and it often causes more stress, aggravation, and costs in the long run. So before you decide to do this all yourself, give our office a call. We'll send you a free copy of our guide to understanding estate administration, and we'll help you figure out your next best steps.